I'm Dr. Michael Harrison, and I spent 40 years treating patients with high blood pressure. Today, I want to share something that could make a real difference in your life. If you're over 65 and watching your blood pressure numbers with that familiar mix of hope and worry, I understand. I've sat across from thousands of patients just like you, patients who take their medication faithfully, who've cut back on salt, who try to walk when their knees allow it, and yet still feel that quiet tension every time they wrap the cuff around their arm. Here's what I want you to know right from the start. Nearly 70% of adults over 60 live with elevated blood pressure. You are not alone in this, and more importantly, you are not powerless, because research from the National Institutes of Health and the American Heart Association shows that even modest reductions of 5 to 10 points can significantly lower your risk of stroke and heart disease within just a few months. Today, I'm going to share 3 specific drinks that you can make at home. Drinks that research suggests may help support healthier blood pressure naturally. These aren't miracle cures, and I want to be absolutely clear about that. This information is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personalized medical advice from your own doctor who knows your specific health history. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen. That said, let's get into it. We're going to work through 3 drinks today, starting with number 3 and building up to the most important one. Each drink works differently in your body, and by the time we're done, you'll understand not just what to drink, but why it works and who it's best for. Stay with me through all 3, because number 1 might just change how you think about blood pressure entirely. Before I explain the science, let me share a story that perfectly illustrates what I'm talking about. A few years ago, I had a patient I'll call Robert. Robert was 72, a retired engineer, sharp as a tack, and frustrated beyond words. He came to see me because despite taking his medication exactly as prescribed, despite walking 30 minutes most days, despite cutting back on salt, his blood pressure readings were all over the place. One day it would be reasonable, the next day it would spike for no apparent reason. Robert told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Dr. Harrison, I feel like my body has turned against me. I'm doing everything right, and nothing makes sense anymore." That fear of unpredictability, of feeling like you're losing control of something as fundamental as your own blood pressure, I hear it almost every day, and the truth is Robert had reason to be concerned. His numbers weren't dangerously high, but the inconsistency was wearing on him mentally and physically. His wife told me he'd started avoiding social activities because he was so preoccupied with his health. What Robert didn't understand, and what I want you to understand, is that blood pressure after 60 is rarely just about your heart. It becomes a conversation between your nervous system, your blood vessels, and your metabolism, all of which grow more sensitive with age. Even good habits can be outweighed by subtle shifts you never feel happening. This brings us to our first understanding. Blood pressure isn't a single number to chase. It's a reflection of how multiple systems in your body are communicating with each other. And that's exactly why these 3 drinks work. They don't force your numbers down. They help your body find its own steadier rhythm. Think of it like tuning an instrument. You're not replacing the strings. You're helping everything work in harmony again. Now let's move to number 3 on our list, which is a drink that many seniors would never guess has such a calming effect on blood pressure. Number 3 is hibiscus tea. I know what you might be thinking. Tea? Really? But hear me out, because the research on this is genuinely fascinating. Hibiscus tea is made from dried hibiscus petals, and it has a beautiful deep red color that comes from natural plant compounds called anthocyanins. These compounds do something remarkable in your body. They help your blood vessels relax and widen gently, improving blood flow without forcing dramatic changes. Here's what stopped me in my tracks when I first read this research. Hibiscus acts as what scientists call a mild natural ACE inhibitor. Now, if that sounds familiar, it should. ACE inhibitors are one of the most commonly prescribed classes of blood pressure medication. They work by blocking an enzyme that causes your blood vessels to constrict. Hibiscus works through that same pathway, just much more gently. It's like the difference between turning down a dial slowly versus flipping a switch. Both get you to a quieter room, but one does it in a way your body can adapt to more comfortably. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that drinking hibiscus tea daily for 6 weeks led to meaningful reductions in systolic blood pressure. Another study from Tufts University showed similar results, with participants experiencing an average drop of 7 points in their systolic reading. This isn't folklore or wishful thinking. This is peer-reviewed research showing that a simple cup of tea can support healthier blood pressure. But here's what I really want you to understand. This tea doesn't work through force or stimulation. It works through rhythm, consistency, and trust with your body. When taken daily, your blood vessels begin to respond more calmly. Over time, that's when pressure starts to feel less unpredictable. Your body learns to expect this gentle support, and it responds by relaxing in ways it might have forgotten how to do. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Margaret. Margaret was 68 when she first came to see me. She was already on blood pressure medication, but her numbers still weren't where she wanted them to be. She'd heard about hibiscus tea from a friend, and was curious but skeptical. I appreciated her skepticism, actually. It meant she was thinking critically about her health, rather than chasing quick fixes. We talked about it, reviewed her medications, and decided she could try adding 1 cup of hibiscus tea daily while continuing her prescribed treatment. I explained what to watch for, and asked her to keep a simple log of how she felt. Here's what happened. After about 5 weeks, Margaret's readings started showing more consistency. Not dramatic drops, but steadier numbers with fewer of those frustrating spikes. She told me the tea had become something she looked forward to each morning, a ritual that felt comforting rather than medicinal. She'd sit by her kitchen window, watch the birds at her feeder, and sip her tea slowly. That quiet moment became a kind of meditation, and I believe that mental shift contributed to her results as much as the tea itself. Now I want to pause here and remind you, I'm not suggesting you change any medications without speaking to your prescribing physician. Hibiscus tea can enhance your body's response to blood pressure medication, which means it could potentially make your medication more effective. That's usually good, but it needs to be monitored. If you're already taking blood pressure medication, please talk to your doctor before adding hibiscus tea to your daily routine. This is especially important if you take ACE inhibitors or diuretics, because the effects can compound. Let me explain exactly how to prepare this tea so it works best for your body. Start by choosing a simple hibiscus tea made from dried petals, not sweetened mixes or powders. Purity matters, especially for seniors. Use hot water but not boiling, and let it steep for about 5 to 7 minutes. You'll see that beautiful deep red color developing, and that tells you those beneficial compounds are releasing into the water. 1 cup a day is enough for most seniors. I recommend having it earlier in the day, or with a meal so your body absorbs it gently. The goal isn't a strong medicinal brew. It's a calm daily ritual your body can recognize and respond to. If the taste is too tart for you, a small amount of honey is acceptable, though the natural tartness is actually part of what makes it effective. Most seniors don't feel dramatic changes overnight, and that's actually a good sign. Slow, steady progress means your body is adjusting naturally. Look for steadier readings after 3 to 6 weeks of consistent use. That patience alone could help you feel less discouraged when numbers don't shift right away. I always tell my patients that the best changes are the ones that happen so gradually you almost don't notice them happening. Hibiscus also has a mild diuretic effect, which means it helps your body release excess fluid. For most seniors, this actually supports mineral balance rather than depleting it, which is an important distinction from pharmaceutical diuretics that can sometimes drain essential minerals. But because of this effect, many people find it works best when enjoyed earlier in the day. Having it too close to bedtime might mean extra trips to the bathroom, which none of us need. This brings us to something important. Hibiscus tea helps your blood vessels relax, but many seniors still struggle with something else entirely: stiffness and resistance inside the arteries themselves. For that, your body needs something different, something that works more slowly and more deeply. Now let's move to number 2, which builds directly on what we just covered. Number 2 is what I call a potassium support drink, but it's really more of a nourishing blend than a simple beverage. Here's why this matters so much after 65. As we age, our arteries naturally become stiffer. They lose some of their flexibility and responsiveness. Think of the difference between a new rubber band and one that's been sitting in a drawer for years. The old rubber band doesn't stretch and bounce back the way it used to. Your arteries can develop that same kind of rigidity. This process, which doctors call arterial stiffness, is one of the main reasons blood pressure tends to rise as we get older, even when everything else about our health seems stable. Potassium plays a central role in maintaining arterial flexibility. It helps your blood vessels relax and respond instead of staying rigid. When potassium runs low, pressure rises quietly, even when your lifestyle habits look good. This is something I see all the time in clinical practice. Seniors who are doing everything right but still have stubborn numbers because they're missing this key mineral. The recommended daily intake of potassium for adults is around 4,700 milligrams, but studies show that most Americans, especially seniors, get less than half that amount. There's another factor at play here, and it's one most people don't think about. Insulin resistance becomes more common with age, and when blood sugar stays elevated, the inner lining of your arteries becomes less responsive. Over time, your vessels start behaving more like rigid tubes than living flexible tissue. This helps explain why blood pressure can feel so stubborn and why quick fixes rarely hold. The connection between blood sugar and blood pressure is something many doctors don't take time to explain, but understanding it can change how you approach your health. The drink I want to share with you addresses all of this. It combines foods that work together in a very gentle way to restore flexibility inside your arteries, instead of forcing your numbers down. Here's what goes into it. You'll need a blender and a cup of water as your base. Add 2 teaspoons of freshly ground flaxseed. Flaxseed supports circulation and helps reduce arterial stiffness over time through its omega-3 fatty acids and lignans. Then chop 2 stalks of celery and add them in. Celery contains natural compounds called phthalides that encourage your vessels to relax. Add half an avocado, which provides potassium and healthy fats that help stabilize blood sugar. Squeeze in the juice of 1 lemon, which adds vitamin C and helps with mineral absorption. Add half a cup of blueberries for their powerful antioxidant properties, and finish with half a cup of plain kefir for its beneficial probiotics and additional potassium. Blend until smooth. I know that sounds like more ingredients than the simple tea, but once you've made it a few times, it becomes second nature, and the combination is intentional. When blood sugar steadies and potassium intake improves, your arteries regain some of their natural elasticity. Seniors often notice fewer spikes and less internal tension over time. Each ingredient supports the others, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. This reminds me of one of the most meaningful conversations I've ever had with a patient. His name was William, and he was 74, a former accountant who approached his health the same way he'd approach spreadsheets, with precision and attention to detail. William had been tracking his blood pressure for years, and he noticed a pattern. His numbers weren't just high, they were unpredictable in a way that seemed connected to what he ate. He'd bring me charts and graphs showing correlations he'd spotted, and honestly, his observations were often more insightful than standard medical testing would reveal. When we started working together, William was skeptical about anything that sounded too natural or alternative. He wanted evidence and explanations, not promises. So I walked him through the research on potassium and arterial flexibility, on insulin resistance and blood vessel health. I showed him the studies, explained the mechanisms, and answered every question he had. He understood the logic and agreed to try this blend daily for 8 weeks, keeping detailed notes as he always did. What happened next was something William described as the first time his numbers made sense. His blood pressure didn't drop dramatically, but the wild swings calmed down. He started seeing more consistent readings, day after day, week after week, and that consistency, that predictability, gave him something he'd been missing for years: confidence in his own body. He told me it felt like finally solving a puzzle that had been bothering him for a decade. I had another patient, a woman I'll call Dorothy, who taught me something important about this blend. Dorothy was 69 and had been resistant to adding anything new to her routine. She already felt overwhelmed by medications and appointments and all the things she was supposed to remember. When I suggested the potassium blend, she looked at me with tired eyes and said, "Dr. Harrison, I just can't add one more thing." So we simplified. Instead of the full blend, Dorothy started by just adding half an avocado to her lunch every day. That was it, one small change. After a month, she added celery, then the blueberries. Over 3 months, she gradually built up to the full blend, but she did it at her own pace. Her blood pressure improved. Yes, but what moved me most was watching her sense of agency return. She wasn't being told what to do anymore. She was choosing, one ingredient at a time, to support her own health. The key with this drink is making it part of a meal rather than another task to remember. It's best taken with lunch or another meal because it supports your blood pressure by nourishing your body, not stimulating it. One serving is enough. This isn't meant to replace a meal or be consumed multiple times a day. That moderation probably makes it easier to stick with, which is what really matters. Consistency over intensity, that's the principle here. Now here's the part most people miss. Even with improved arterial flexibility and better potassium levels, many seniors still struggle with something that feels harder to define. They feel cold, tense, or sluggish in their circulation. They describe feeling internally chilled even in warm rooms. They notice that their energy doesn't flow the way it used to. Their extremities feel distant from their core, as if their body has pulled its resources inward and forgotten about the periphery. This is where number 1 comes in. And pay close attention here, because this addresses a problem that most doctors never discuss. Number 1 is a warming circulation tea made with specific herbs that support blood flow, metabolism, and gentle blood sugar balance. Many seniors feel cold or tense inside because circulation has slowed and low-grade inflammation has quietly built up over years. This tea helps wake those systems without overstimulating them. It doesn't push your pressure down quickly. Instead, it helps your body soften resistance over time, especially if you feel sluggish or stiff. The warming quality isn't just about temperature, it's about encouraging movement through systems that have become stagnant. Let me explain the specific herbs and why they matter. Cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar and reduce the insulin spikes that tighten your blood vessels. Research published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition found that cinnamon can improve insulin sensitivity by up to 20% in some individuals. This is powerful because blood sugar and blood pressure are intimately connected in ways most people don't realize. When your blood sugar spikes, your body releases stress hormones that constrict blood vessels. Over time, these repeated spikes contribute to the arterial stiffness we discussed earlier. Ginger supports your metabolism and helps clear inflammatory tension from your arteries. It's warming without being harsh. Studies have shown that ginger can help improve circulation and reduce markers of inflammation in the blood. For seniors who feel that internal coldness I mentioned, ginger often provides relief that seems disproportionate to such a simple ingredient. Lemongrass adds circulation support while also helping with appetite and cholesterol balance. It has a bright, clean taste that many people find refreshing, and it's been used in traditional medicine for centuries to support cardiovascular health. But here's what makes this blend special. I also recommend adding fennel seeds and cardamom. And before you wonder why we're talking about digestion in a blood pressure discussion, let me explain. Many seniors underestimate how much their digestive comfort affects their circulation and blood pressure. When digestion improves, circulation often follows. Bloating and digestive discomfort can actually contribute to blood pressure fluctuations, especially after meals. The vagus nerve, which connects your gut to your heart and brain, plays a role here that modern medicine is only beginning to appreciate. Fennel seeds help reduce bloating and support smooth digestion. Cardamom has been studied for its potential to support healthy blood pressure through multiple mechanisms. Together, they make this tea not just effective but also comfortable to drink and easy on your system. The way these herbs work together is what matters. This isn't about any single ingredient being a magic solution. It's about how cinnamon, ginger, lemongrass, fennel, and cardamom complement each other to support warmth, circulation, and metabolic balance all at once. They create a synergy that addresses blood pressure from multiple angles simultaneously. Research from various studies suggests that cinnamon may help improve insulin sensitivity and support healthier blood sugar levels. Ginger has been studied for its effects on circulation and inflammation. A meta-analysis published in Phytotherapy Research found that ginger supplementation significantly reduced systolic and diastolic blood pressure. These aren't exotic miracle cures. They're herbs that have been used for centuries and that modern science is beginning to validate. Here's exactly how to prepare this tea. Take a cinnamon stick or half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder, a small piece of fresh ginger about the size of your thumb, a stalk or two of lemongrass, a pinch of fennel seeds, and a few cardamom pods. Place them together in about 2 cups of water and bring it to a light boil. Then reduce the heat and let it simmer until the water reduces to about 1 cup. The aroma should feel warming and inviting before it's even finished. Your kitchen will smell wonderful, which is part of the experience. This tea can be enjoyed once or twice a day, often in the morning or early evening when your body benefits from warmth. You can drink it before or after meals, depending on what feels comfortable. A small amount of honey can be added if your blood sugar allows, especially because the cinnamon helps moderate the sugar response. But avoid making it too strong, and if you're on blood pressure medication, start gently and observe how your body responds. Give it time to work. The benefits build gradually. Before I let you go, I want to share one more story that I hope will stay with you. A few years ago, I had a patient named Eleanor. She was 71, a retired teacher who had spent her career taking care of everyone else's children and was now struggling to take care of herself. Eleanor's blood pressure had been elevated for years, and she'd tried multiple medications with varying success. More than the numbers, though, what bothered Eleanor was how she felt. Cold hands, sluggish mornings, a constant tension in her chest that never quite went away. She described feeling like she was living behind a pane of glass, present but not fully participating in her own life. We worked together over several months. Eleanor started with hibiscus tea in the mornings. After a few weeks, she added the potassium blend with her lunches, and eventually she incorporated the warming tea in her evenings. She didn't do everything at once. She built one habit at a time, listening to her body and adjusting as she went. Some weeks she'd skip the potassium blend because she wasn't feeling it. Other weeks she'd have the warming tea twice a day because the cold had settled deep into her bones. She learned to trust her instincts. Fast forward 6 months. Eleanor came into my office, and the first thing she said was something I'll never forget. She said, "Dr. Harrison, I feel like I'm living in my body again instead of fighting against it." Her numbers had improved, yes, down about 12 points on average, but more importantly, she felt warmer, steadier, more comfortable in her own skin. The scared look she had in our first meeting was replaced by something that looked a lot like hope. She'd started volunteering at a local school again, reading to children the way she used to when she was teaching. She had energy for her grandchildren. She felt like herself again. Now, I'm not telling you Eleanor's story to promise that you'll have the exact same results. Everyone's different, but what Eleanor's story shows is that it is possible. Even when you feel like you're heading down a path you can't change, there are specific, evidence-based steps that can shift that trajectory. Your body hasn't given up on you. Sometimes it just needs the right kind of support. All right, stay with me here. We've covered a lot of ground. Let me bring this all together for you, because this next part is where everything comes together practically. You now know about 3 different drinks, each supporting your blood pressure in its own way. Hibiscus tea helps your blood vessels relax through gentle, natural ACE inhibition. The potassium blend restores flexibility from the inside by addressing mineral balance and blood sugar stability. And the warming circulation tea keeps blood moving steadily while supporting your metabolism and reducing inflammation. The question is, how do you know which one is right for you? And the answer is something I want you to really hear. What matters most is not choosing perfectly, but choosing gently. Some days your body wants calm and relaxation. That's a hibiscus tea day. Other days you might need deep nourishment and mineral support. That's when the potassium blend makes sense. And on days when you feel cold, sluggish, or tense, the warming tea can help wake up your circulation. You can rotate these drinks or stay with the one that feels most supportive in this season of your life. Your body gives quiet feedback when you slow down enough to notice it. Over time, many seniors tell me they sense which drink feels right without even thinking about it. That intuition, that connection with your own body, returns when you remove the pressure and approach your health with cooperation instead of force. And remember, this information is meant to educate and empower you, not replace the advice of your personal physician. Take what you've learned today and have a conversation with your doctor about what's right for you. If you're on blood pressure medication, these drinks should complement your treatment plan, not replace it. Your doctor knows your specific situation and can help you integrate these approaches safely. Bring this information with you. A good doctor will appreciate your engagement with your own health. Let me give you 3 clear action steps to take from here. First, choose one drink to start with. Don't try to do all 3 at once. Pick the one that resonates most with you, whether that's the simplicity of hibiscus tea, the nourishing support of the potassium blend, or the warming comfort of the circulation tea. Commit to trying it daily for 3 weeks before adding anything else. Let your body adapt and respond before you introduce more variables. Second, track how you feel, not just your numbers. Yes, monitor your blood pressure if you can, but also pay attention to your energy, your sense of internal warmth or tension, your digestion, and your overall sense of steadiness. Keep a simple journal, even just a few words each day. These subtle signals often tell you more than the numbers alone. They reveal patterns that machines can't capture. Third, talk to your doctor about what you're trying. Bring this information with you to your next appointment. A good physician will appreciate that you're taking an active role in your health and can help you integrate these approaches with your existing treatment plan. If your doctor dismisses natural approaches without discussion, that's valuable information too. You deserve a healthcare partner who respects your desire to be involved in your own care. The simple truth is this: blood pressure after 65 doesn't have to feel like a battle you're losing. When you understand what's happening in your body, when you provide the gentle support your blood vessels and nervous system need, your numbers often respond. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. And that steadiness, that sense of your body finding its own rhythm again, is worth more than any quick fix could ever offer. I want you to know something that I told my patients for 40 years. Your body wants to be healthy. It's designed for balance and rhythm. Sometimes it just needs the right support to find its way back. These 3 drinks, simple as they are, can be part of that support. They're not magic. They're medicine in the oldest sense of the word, nourishment that helps your body remember what it already knows how to do. If you found this helpful, if you learned something today that you can use, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I release new information regularly, specifically designed to help you take control of your health and maintain your independence as you get older. And I promise to always give you the science without the hype. No fear-mongering, no miracle claims, just honest information from someone who spent 40 years learning what actually helps. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 3 drinks are you going to try first. I'd also love to know where you're watching from. I read every comment personally, and hearing from you helps me understand what topics matter most. Your questions often become the basis for future videos, so don't be shy. Before you go, I want to leave you with one thought. The relationship you have with your blood pressure doesn't have to be adversarial. You're not fighting against your body, you're learning to work with it. And when you approach your health that way, with curiosity instead of fear, with gentleness instead of force, remarkable things become possible. Here's to your health, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll explore another topic that I think could make a real difference in how you feel every day.